Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very first nutritional series presented by Centaur Courses. This is called Nutrition for Widows and Widowers. So, are you widowed and wondering what to eat? This week, Jenni Dean, a holistic nutritionist, and I are diving into a topic so many of us face but rarely talk about: nutrition and cooking for one after the loss of a spouse. We'll explore the emotional triggers that show up when shopping alone. We'll talk about how to boost energy when you're running on empty. We'll talk about what to avoid to help your body and your heart heal, and tips to make nourishing meals for one feel like self care, not a chore. So if you're feeling overwhelmed in the kitchen or just need a little encouragement to start again, this conversation is for you. Remember, you are not alone. I'm Chris Benevento, the founder of Centaur Courses, LLC, where we're dedicated to guiding healing journeys and transforming lives. This series is close to my heart, inspired by my personal journey after the sudden loss of my husband, Mike, in 2021. At that time, we were still under COVID protocols. So not only did people who loved my husband and some of our family not show for the celebration of life and church service, the after venue told me we could only serve individually wrapped sandwiches. So I had to order a variety from Subway, and I got prepackaged chips and drinks and desserts from Costco. Not the healthiest of meals. Food represents so much in our lives. It could be what it was meant for, sustenance, or it can be abused like we do when we emotionally eat. Bringing a meal shows love, care, and offers comfort. It enhances celebrations or offers cultural support. Navigating food after a profound loss can be tough. Seeing the foods that our loved ones ate every week as we shop can be triggering. Repeatedly grabbing something quick and easy can lead to weight gain, sluggishness, or loss of vibrancy. Grief impacts every facet of life, from dealing with sudden financial changes, moves, helping children cope with their own trauma, managing shifts in family and friend relationships, and perhaps unexpected health issues because we have bottled up our emotions. Over the past few years, I have communicated with other widows and widowers. Health is something that always seems to take a back seat until something happens to make us stop and reassess. I realize now, after I experienced my own loss, that there is so much more I could have done to support those who lost a spouse or partner. So, this interview is for those looking to help and for those going through a loss. I hope it helps you. That's why I'm thrilled to have Jenni Dean, a holistic nutritionist consultant, joining us here today. Jenni will share her expertise on how nutrition can significantly support those of us navigating grief and healing, which is a vital part of what we offer here at Centaur Courses. So, welcome, Jenni.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be with you today.
I've been following you for a while, and I thought, wow, we really need to get a nutritionist on board. I struggle with eating alone, cooking for one, not feeling like taking the time for myself as emotions are all over the board. And I know you've seen this in your practice. While connecting with many widows and widowers who share similar challenges, I've realized food is one thing we can control in a world that feels out of control. Whether we're dealing with stress eating, emotional eating, or difficulty in maintaining a healthy diet, I hope by the end of this conversation, our listeners will be able to consider a more concrete way to improve their lives in bite sized pieces. So, Jenni, before we dive into the questions, can you share with us what brought you to focus on nutrition? Like, what did you get your certification in that qualifies you to talk about this?
Yeah, thank you, Chris. That's an amazing question. And I love how you said just a minute ago, bite-sized pieces, because that's exactly what I encourage clients to do. Take one bite at a time, one step at a time. But moving back a little bit, the reason why I started my holistic nutrition journey is because I was getting frustrated when I was going through my health ailments and my health goals. And I could only get so far in the medical system, as helpful as they are, and they have the purpose for sure. So what happened to me is I actually couldn't get pregnant for 5 years. And then I saw a holistic nutritionist from like a referral actually, and I didn't know what that meant at the time, but I was open to it and it felt right. I was willing to try anything. And I saw her and I was fascinated how she worked with me with her symptomology protocols. She checked my energy levels and she looked at my nails, or the color of my tongue or my eyes or my skin. And she asked me specific questions to get me where she thought I should be and what's going on emotionally to tap in the two to get me into balance in my gut, in my heart, and in my spirit. I'm a certified holistic nutritionist. I went to school at Edison Institute of Natural Nutrition, and I have my diploma over 3 years and with advanced symptomology and with honors. So I'm so passionate about food, helping other people because it makes a huge difference. And it's helped me so many times in my life to help me not only just lose weight, like losing weight was actually the perk, but I wanted to feel better. I wanted to have more energy and vitality. And I wanted to support myself better when my stress levels were higher and my cortisol levels. And, I knew I needed some more supports. Because every time I went back to my old ways of eating, my old ways of thinking, my energy felt depleted, and it really messed up my sleep and just how I felt about myself. It really also affected my moods and my emotions as well. And it wasn't consistent. So the reason why I got into this business, I'm so passionate about it, is because I know it works. And when we change our habits and we have a really strong reason why we want to change our habits with our foods, then you decide, okay, well, maybe I want to be in a better relationship, or maybe I want to, take a course that I haven't taken before. And people find that even through grief and trauma, that when they support themselves with more nutrients and minerals and vitamins and healthy fats, when that's their go-to food rather than the go-to, bag of chips, they feel better long term and they can cope better because they're giving themselves the vitamins and minerals to help our bodies through tough times.
I love that. Help our bodies through tough times. That's what we're here for. Those who are watching this and those that are supporting those who have become widows or widowers, we can all look forward to this conversation. So let's get into it. How can certain foods help support someone who is grieving, both emotionally and physically?
Well, yes, thank you for asking that. So, foods play a powerful role in supporting you emotionally and physically, especially when you're going through grief. Because when you're grieving and going through something traumatic, like even my clients, a lot of them have lost a spouse and they are emotionally drained, they're physically drained. Some of them find it hard to sleep at night when they have lost a spouse, especially they can get through the day okay, but at night it's the hardest time when everything's quiet and the bed is a little colder, right? Or they go over to talk to that person that's not there. So a lot of the grief sits in the heart and the lungs, and it affects the whole body with your adrenals that are right like this big. They're like walnuts that sit on top of your kidneys. So I work with raising those lower chakras, those lower vibration energies to move up into the heart again and let you feel what you're feeling with healthier choices. So many of the meal plans that I create and even the consultations, I have options that clients can choose from. So just to give you some examples, so you can pick lean meats that have tryptophan in them, and they actually increase and your dopamine and your serotonin levels in your body to help you feel happier and sleep better. So that would be like chicken or turkey, even cheese like mozzarella, right? Soft cheeses are great too, like goat's cheese, sheep's cheese if you want to venture out. to that feta
Mhm.
cheese. So something that's simple, maybe, and those are already even pre-packaged and done for you in individual sizes. So that's easy to get. They're already sliced into packages. And then the chicken as well, you can do chicken or turkey, even fish is amazing because when you get more omega-3s in your diet, the nuts, the seeds, the fish, the smaller fish are even healthier for you. What they
Oh,
do is they grab onto the toxins in your body. They support your brain health and your anxiety and how you're feeling. But they pull out those bad toxins, the free radicals, and they get them out of the body easily. At the same time, they're helping your cholesterol levels when you're under stress, so nothing spikes up and down a lot. Leafy greens are amazing to have on hand. Pre-cut celery and pre-cut carrots, pre-cut apples. A lot of the leafy greens have a lot of the prebiotics in them to help your gut already naturally get the microbiomes up in your body. And so when you support your body with wholer foods, like, whole organic Greek yogurt with don't get the fruit on the bottom, put your own fruit in it, maybe with some nuts and seeds on top. But the thing is, what I'm saying is when you're going through grief and you don't feel like eating, it's better to have those things ahead of time. So you can take freezer bags, you can buy a whole pack of chicken breast, but you can pre-do them, like pre-freeze them in individual pack amounts in your freezer, or you can even pre-cook them all and then cut them up after and have them in baggies in your fridge, in your freezer. So you have them to go, so you're not reaching for the foods that don't serve you. When your body's going under stress, you naturally gravitate towards the processed foods that have a lot of salt in them or have a lot of sugar. That's because your body needs that. Your body needs those calories, but counterintuitively, you want to choose what you want to put in your body. Your body doesn't have a say what we put in our bodies, right? So we have to really think ahead of time. So
mm,
if you're craving the higher calorie comfort foods, the pastas, the burgers, the fries, it's because your body actually needs more healthy lean proteins and more vegetables, and it needs like some of the different supplements as well to support your body with some sea salt, some Italian spices, and all those things, having them pre-done. You don't have to worry about feeling guilty on top of the guilt and the grief, dealing with the stress of feeling bad, what you're putting in your body when you're already going through something traumatic. And that's what I help a lot of clients with as well, with starting with food as your foundation. And then I fill in the gaps as well emotionally to help you with the food first. And then I build it up from there with other modules that I offer too. But it is possible. And, when you're going through grief, it's such a difficult time, especially when you have you're dealing with the family members which are helpful and loving, but there's a lot to contend with, and you really don't feel like yourself. It takes many many years to get through the grieving process, but starting these habits, even someone that you lost wants you to be healthy and vibrant and live your life into the fullest. you know, I I don't think your loved ones would want you to be hard on yourself or stay there forever. They want to be happy and see you thrive too. If you think of it that way, self-care is really important in this process as well.
I love what you just said there about the self-care. Um, you've 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 said a whole bunch for us all to think about, and
Yeah.
I'm hearing pre-preparation is key
Yes.
so that you already know and have on hand the things that are healthy for you. But
Yes.
are there any specific nutrients or vitamins that are key during stressful and sad times?
Yes. There are a lot of vitamins. So I recommend vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin E, and selenium. And all those vitamins support your immune system and keep it healthy, but also give you the energy it needs when you're going through stressful times. Vitamin E supports the heart and the cardiovascular system. and I didn't mention, but vitamin D is also a big factor. So all the vitamins that you're getting from your food. So you want to look at the immune system sort of as like, what part of the body are you feeding? So I always start with the gut and the liver first. So if you're looking in the grocery store and you're like, okay, I know I need the vitamins and minerals, but what do I buy? Like that's confusing and overwhelming. I'm not going to do that. No, you want to think of it differently. Think of it in colors. So if you look at the grocery store and if you have in your grocery cart all the white foods, you probably don't have as many nutrients or minerals in there. So if you have more brightly colored fruits and vegetables, you have some nice bell red peppers, you have some nice carrots, some sweet potatoes. They're all the orange and the yellow vegetables and the red vegetables. They have a lot of vitamin A in them, and they're low on the glycemic scale, so they help your insulin, go for longer times between eating, so you feel better for longer. Especially when there's a lot to do when someone has like passed, you're always running, having to sign documents and go to the bank, you know, close accounts down. You want to have snacks on hand that you can just eat on the go and feel good and satiated. So a
Well,
lot of
that,
the
yeah.
yeah,
I
so
was
a
just
lot
going
of
to say, yeah, if you have kids at home and you're running from
yeah,
this place to that place, yeah.
yeah, it's good to have like some fresh berries or even frozen, and then you can put them in your fridge and let them thaw overnight. Put them in little containers, and then you have little things of yogurt, little things of berries. You have your nuts and seeds, and that's really good to eat on the go if you can't make yourself get to the meal stage yet. Just even buy a pre-cooked chicken in your fridge and have that. But I really want to encourage you to try to like don't self-sabotage yourself when you're already in a stressful situation, and you want to give yourself space to nurture yourself through this time, and the foods are to support you and help you feel better, so you're not putting a layer of ill health for yourself on top of the layer of grief.
I like what you said about the colors because I think of a rainbow, right? And we've heard that through all kinds of nutritional literature that's out there on the internet anyway, but when I see a rainbow, what does it make me do? It makes me smile. It makes me feel uplifted. And so if I'm eating a rainbow, you could, even metaphorically think that's another key to my helping myself feel a little bit happier today, even if it's just for a moment, you know?
Exactly,
So,
hon.
so
I love
we,
that you said, Chris. I love that because like people can do the rainbow with sugar.
yeah, but we all know sugars are a downer. What is it, like a half an hour after you eat the sugars?
Yeah, and actually sugar suppresses your immune system for 3 to 4 hours, depending on how much sugar you've had. And
Wow.
actually it stresses out the blood vessels in your body. So what happens is when someone's insulin resistant, because you hear that term a lot, or metabolic, syndrome. And what that means, it just means you have too much sugar in your bloodstream. So when a doctor tells you you're pre-diabetic or you're hypoglycemic, it just means the sugar levels when you get your blood work done haven't gone down when you've actually even haven't been eating. So that's the glycation starting in your sugar. It's too much sugar in your liver and your bloodstream, and it goes to the brain as well. That causes a whole host of hormonal imbalances on top of the layer of the stress. So really, honestly, like I take it really slow and one step at a time, and just about education and nurturing yourself a lot. All the modules are really help women and men, get themselves where they want to be. And I meet them where they are so that they don't have to, you know, think as much, and they have the tools they need to just go in there and get what they need rather than have to worry about it. I don't want to add stress onto the stress. It's really about heart energy, and we all are important, and we need to really take the time to feel the emotions, but you don't want to like like I mentioned before, you don't want to like just go with the comfort foods all the time, because it really can hurt your body, especially if you have food sensitivities or you have a predisposition to ear infections or yeast infections, or you find you get a little bit lightheaded. That's where the liver even needs even more supports through letting go of your anger, your shame, betrayal, even sadness. And then sometimes the bugs in us, they hang on and they come out during stressful times. And that's why you
Oh
even
yeah.
feel crappier sometimes. So the meal plans that I suggest and that I really am I'm very passionate about it. I know people don't believe it till they do it. And they're like, oh my gosh. But it's even more scientific than that, that people have underlying conditions that they don't realize that they need maybe a probiotic, or some extra supports homeopathically that I suggest to them to do short term to make them feel better, even better than what they had thought initially they would feel.
Well, I know one of the questions I get has to do with the person who's bringing the meal to the house of someone who has just lost their loved one, for
Yeah,
the next week or couple of weeks. And they're saying, what should I bring them? And we know a lot of people will do the cheese macaronis and like you were saying, the pastas, the white food. Um, so would you say that it's not necessarily that fruits, vegetables, whole grains, healthy fats are a miracle cure, but they support the human body, which in turn supports someone grieving. So really, when we prepare someone a meal or when we shop for ourselves, we're arming us or them so they can cope with this new way of life better.
absolutely, 100%, Chris. I love how you said that. Coping with their new life together. So when someone's making a meal for someone that's grieving, they appreciate it and they know they maybe shouldn't have the macaroni cheese, but it sure looks good and tastes good, doesn't it? It sure makes you feel, oh, relaxed. And carbs will do that. Carbs are not even the enemy because we know fruits and vegetables are carbs as well. It's when they're the processed white foods that and we're going to have them every day. Like it's not, we're going to go to birthdays, it's going to be there. So we can't get
Yeah.
away from them. But if you really think about it when someone's cooking for someone, if you use fresh herbs and spices and chicken with maybe like a nice you can get a bean pasta or a quinoa pasta, or you could get just nice you know brown rice would be really good for them as well. But it's just different options, and when you give that to them and you feel good about that, they're nourishing themselves and they're eating it like, oh, this is so good. They could enjoy it just as much as macaroni and cheese, but it will do them better and they'll feel better for it and get through the process with more ammunition rather than feel like, really awful the next day where they have a headache and they're tired and then, they can't go to the washroom because they're all constipated. And it's not our intention. Food is amazing to give to people with love, but not realizing it, we unintentionally can actually um like make the person feel like not as healthy or well because they're eating foods that don't really nourish them on all levels, and it affects the sleep. And then they might get a sign, like it affects the sinuses, it causes mucus in the body, and it's just so not intentionally. It's good intentions. I think all of us like it'll be. I think Chris and I could work on a meal plan for specific for just grieving. I already have one. I already have pre templated, pre made, but I could tweak it a little bit just to help clients as well and people on this call
Nice.
like to attain that just to help them for sure.
So maybe if they email us and we'll leave our emails at the end, we could send them that um,
Absolutely.
whatever you've come up with. But it's
Absolutely.
also interesting as you're speaking, what just came to mind was I think about when I'm a little kid, there's always salt and pepper on the dining room table, right? You just shake it on, whatever. It
Yeah.
makes the palate feel a little bit better either way. But I
Yes.
can remember the first time I got myself one of those hand grinders for pepper, and you could smell the pepper before you even tasted it. I think that's essentially what you're saying is if you get that very fresh, especially organic food, the smells and the taste are just so much more vibrant than something that's been sitting in a can for God knows how long.
Yes.
Um, and that just, let's say, awakens you. I don't want to call it a stupor, but it's kind of like you're in a stupor when you're in a grieving period. And if you have something that's sort of alive and vibrant, that just gives you that little edge.
It really does, Chris, because the senses like are affect our whole mind, body, and spirit. So when you go out in the garden and you have this, even on a walk, and you have the fresh smell of freshly cut grass, or the
Mm.
nice, maple trees, or you have fresh after it rains and it just feels fresh outside, and with the nice river you can smell and the sun's on your face. Even taking buying fresh herbs, and people sometimes have the misconception it's expensive to eat, but it's more expensive to eat when you're eating out. And if you think of all the things we spend money on to help us get by, like our coffee, or even, and I'm not judging, I'm just giving it a perspective because I know that everyone's in different circumstances. But fresh herbs and vegetables are not that expensive. I think I can get a whole thing of fresh cilantro or oregano or basil for like each under $2. But you don't think of that. Like I actually I make my stuffed chicken, and then I make it for our family, and I cut it in half, and then I season it with salt and pepper and paprika, and then I just put bell peppers or mushrooms in it, or broccoli. Like, I change up my vegetables, flip it upside down like a tent, sprinkle your salt and pepper and your paprika, and you cook in the oven like for 45
Oh
minutes.
my God, you're making me so hungry.
It's simple. So
Yeah.
so even if because if you buy like the pre-done lasagnas for you, you're going to be spending about $20, where you could have already bought a whole thing of groceries. Like, you could have already bought your fruits and your vegetables minimum, like at least a few things for even if you're one person, um, to make you get by a few days. And so it's just reframing the mind. The mindset is a big thing as well.
Oh
And
yeah.
going out, like when you're grieving, and it's not just like the food is a big foundation for me, as you can tell, but it's really important to get out in nature and walk and call a friend. Don't feel like you have to deal with this all on your own, because you don't. Like, that's what I'm here for. That's what Chris is here for. We're both on the same page. And we just want to give people hope and encouragement that you can feel better wherever you are in your life with tiny little things that you try. Don't get overwhelmed and think, oh my gosh, like, because even going to the grocery store is hard, right? Didn't you had that happen, Chris, didn't you?
It was maybe 2 weeks after Mike passed, and I'd finally like, "All right, I gotta get some groceries now."
Yeah.
And I walked in, and of course, where you walk in is usually the produce aisle, and I was, gathering what I like to eat, and then there were the bananas, which was, I knew my path. I did this every week. Had to get Mike his bananas, and I went to that table. And oh my God, I could just feel the tears starting. And I had to put my stuff down and I had to leave because I didn't want to be embarrassed standing crying in the grocery store. But these are things that, nobody would think about, just your normal routine, just the normal foods. And now you do not have the privilege of buying the banana for your husband anymore.
Because before it was a habit, and we have to change those new habits when we have changes like that in our life.
Yeah.
And
Hey,
even,
so I'm sorry.
oh, that's
I've
okay.
heard hydration is critical during stressful periods. Like, how important is it really? What should people consume?
So the average person should be consuming anywhere from 8 to 10 glasses of water a day, depending on the height of the person or the weight. Like, sometimes they can consume more, but the reason why or if you're exercising as well, or more active. But the reason why water is so important is because it actually gives you mental clarity. It takes the pressure off your organs to filter out the toxins in your body. And like, your brain alone is 80% water. Your whole body's the percentage always changes, but it's anywhere from 65 to 75% of your whole body. Your blood, right? It has plasma in it, but it has like fluids. So to get the circulation, the oxygen in your body, the fluids are very important. And I don't know if you've noticed, Chris, but when I don't drink enough water in the day, I feel tired. I'm craving the sugary foods or have to eat more often, even having our coffee or a tea, you want to drink 2 to 3 glasses of water after that. A lot of clients that are even in the hospital, like a lot of my clients have elderly moms or dads, and they often go to the hospital and they're dehydrated and they don't even know it, or they get sick and they dehydrate really fast. And this can cause simple symptoms of mental fogginess, or just you can't think clearly, and it makes you really tired. So hydration is really important during this time as well to help your body through this time get the right fluids in you. And again, it's important not to go for the other beverages you could choose, because again, then you're causing another problem on top of a problem. It's just important to really be true to supporting yourself, especially with fluids, where you can put a little lemon in the water or lime in the water or any kind of fruit you'd like, or even a vegetable, cucumber. Peel
Mm.
off the skin, put the cucumber in there. And some people even freeze some vegetable or fruit juice in ice cube trays. And you can put that in your water too to make it more flavorful, give it more flavor. I even have a little hack. I put like an eighth teaspoon, just a pinch of sea salt, Celtic sea salt in my water, just my one glass, like my first thing of water in the day. And it helps me hydrate me better and absorb it into your cells with the electrolytes, with the sodium and the magnesium and the potassium from the sea salt.
That's a great tip. I know for me, I learned this probably when I was in my 20s. If I hadn't drank enough water during the day, I would start to get a headache.
Yep.
Many people will immediately turn to popping some kind of a pill, an aspirin, an ibuprofen, or something, when all they have to do is down a couple of glasses of water and that headache is going to be gone.
And Chris, did you know that when you feel hungry, like you just eaten and you're hungry again, sometimes that's thirst.
Wow.
So what you want to do is you want to make sure you have your water first, even have a 2 glasses of water even before you eat. And sometimes your body is crying for water, not necessarily food all the time, right? Like if you always are hungry, that could be
Yeah.
that's also a symptom of dehydration, or you need more water in your life.
Well, and I suppose if you want to lose weight, if your belly feels full with the water, you're going to eat less at the meal.
That's exactly right. And then you don't eat as often. So you can still eat your 3 meals a day, right? And you can still lose the weight and naturally with whole foods from your grocery store. And at the same time, when you're going through the grieving, maybe you want to make a nice soup, or just throw in, like, get some organic vegetable broth, and just use your leftover vegetables you have, put them in a pot. And then after they boil up, I mush them, or I make them more like soupy,
Yeah.
or palatable. And you can have it how you'd like. And you can even add chicken or your meat to it as well. And then you have it there in the fridge for you. You can even bring it in a thermos for yourself when you're on the go. And you can have everything ready for yourself. Even
Wow.
asking a family member or friend, could you make me some soup? Could you that even telling them is helpful for them, because people often don't mind, but sometimes they need direction how to help you as well.
I would imagine that's great for the budget too, because you're throwing less, there's less food wastage out.
That's right. And you can even take a nice spaghetti squash or any kind of acorn squash, whatever you like, butternut squash, and you can cook it in the oven, let it get soft, and then you can peel it and put it in your soup with some coconut milk and some vegetable broth
Mm.
with some nutmeg and a little bit of cinnamon. It's quite nice. It's lovely because it's a little sweet to the palate, but you're getting a lot of nutrients. You're getting your healthy fats. You're getting the vitamin A's from the food and all the macronutrients. And you're also getting a little bit of protein as well in there. And it's very filling. You're satisfied with maybe a nice little rye, like 100% rye bread with sourdough bread is really good for you. And you're actually feeling comforted when you're grieving, because you don't want to feel like a heavy meal, but you're actually just like nourishing yourself with something lighter, but at the same time, it's like filling. You won't be hungry for a few hours
Yeah,
after
there's
that.
there's something about something warm slipping
Yeah,
past the tongue and into your stomach that's very comforting.
that's
So,
right.
Are there any foods that can help with better sleep or reducing anxiety?
Yes, absolutely. So when you are feeling like you're not sleeping well because you're upset and there's a change in your routine, there's foods you want to focus on that help your melatonin in your body to help you sleep, and it helps your hormones as well for your serotonin and your dopamine in your brain. Also, your pituitary gland right here. So the pituitary gland communicates all day long with your heart and your gut, just to tell the body what to do and how to assimilate the nutrients. So if you're looking towards foods that help you sleep better, you want to go towards, well, we all know that turkey, after we have our Thanksgiving dinner, we fall asleep. That's because it has the highest amount of tryptophan in it that helps you sleep, and it relaxes the nervous system. It relaxes the sympathetic nervous system to parasympathetic. So when you have any chicken or any turkey, fish, any kind of meat will do that, except for the red meat has tryptophan in it, but it doesn't do the relaxation part. And to the anxiety, you want to have the whole grains. You want to have the 100% rye breads, sourdough rye breads. You know, the ones that come in the really tight packages, like the German type of breads? They're really like they're near the deli usually. Those breads are really good for you. Sometimes there's pumpernickel, but you can get the nice, those are really good for you, even though they're thicker, but they make you fuller longer, and they give you a lot of B vitamins in your body, a lot of B vitamins, as long as the nuts and the seeds. Pumpkin seed oil or pumpkin seeds are amazing. They have the highest amount of zinc in there for your body, which helps your
Mm.
immune system. And for men in particular, they're really good for the prostate. So they want to make sure they have a lot of zinc. And often when clients do the health questionnaire with me, a lot of the men are already low in zinc. And I can see the connections on the graph of what foods they need and what they need to really focus on to help their body feel more balanced. Also, getting off your phone an hour, or TV or computer an hour before you sleep, like getting into a routine, listening to some quiet music, going for a walk outside, really settles the brain when there's not as much light in your eyes as well. So to help you get a better sleep wake cycle.
Makes such sense. I
Mhm.
was just thinking to myself, um, the man whose wife has passed away, and she was the one who usually packed his lunch, and he's
Right.
in some kind of a very physical job. What is it he could put into his lunchbox that would carry him through?
Yeah. So what I would recommend is you can get like a lot of the guys find it hard to do that when their wife has passed, as in particular, but it's very important to have. I would recommend if they do, and these men might not cook for themselves, so they really have to either get the foods that are already pre-done for them in the grocery stores, or they can have they can buy a nice organic soup already done for them in the carton. They have nice, sweet potatoes. They have some squash soups already done. That's helpful. If they can get a loaf of the darker breads, not the wheat, like the darker breads. And they can put maybe they can make some meatballs with some ground beef, turkey, or I actually really mean turkey meatballs are delicious.
They
Or
are.
they're really good. Yeah. But it's hard. I know that would be difficult for a man to not want to eat out all the time because they would go into the fast food stores to eat because they have to eat. And I understand that. The only trouble with that is they're actually putting too much salt on their body, and they're putting too much on their blood pressure, causing them to be in a possible pre-diabetic state. So it's important for the men as well to, try their best to buy individual or two, steaks or two little packages of ground beef or little package of chicken and pre-cook that, have that done ahead of time. They can get a rice cooker, cook up some rice for themselves and the vegetables and that even frozen veggies. And that would be a really good meal to sustain them so that they don't have to be as stressed out. I don't think that's an easy situation either way, but I
Yeah,
think,
when you don't know how to cook and
yeah,
suddenly that's also something that you have to
yeah,
do for yourself.
And we don't mean to leave out the men, like, I'm very conscientious. I work with women and men, and the men, like, they're used to those habits of the wife doing a lot for them, even cleaning sometimes, or even, like, just, getting them organized in the house, how they would normally live, right? Depends.
Right.
But I think that if the man, wants to stay healthy as well, it's really important to maybe try an activity they haven't tried before. They can sign up for even a class to maybe learn to cook and meet
I
other
was
people.
just thinking that the best
Yeah,
friend that wants to do something to help their friend go through this, and they
yeah,
know they don't cook, it's like, "Hey, I heard at the local high school they've got classes on cooking. What do you say we both go sign up for it and we take it?" That might be
exactly.
something nice to do.
That'd be fun too, exactly. And they even have classes you can do just for soups. You don't have to go do gourmet cooking. Even YouTube has a lot of channels on teaching you how to cook. And they have a lot of
Oh,
apps. Like,
great point.
yeah, there's a lot of cooking apps as well. Yeah, and a lot of groups that you can join online that teach you how to cook as well. But it's really doing it in smaller bits and really making sure you have a balanced diet than going for that fast food because that's too easy and it's not a good thing. That's not a good habit to start.
Yeah. So finally, does a balanced diet really make a difference in preventing physical exhaustion?
Yes, it does 100%. Thank you for asking that. And that's a lot of people don't know how powerful food is. And I say that, I don't say this, but I heard a quote, food is thy medicine.
Mm,
So, and I know that people say, well, what about the pesticides in the food and what about the chemicals in the food? And that's good that you're thinking that way. Um, it's still important to make sure you clean your fruits and vegetables if you can't get the organic all the time. But if there's organic on sale, why not? Might as well get it, you know. But it makes such a huge difference. There's so many vitamins and minerals in your food. A lot of people, when they're going through grief, they do lose the electrolyte balance with their magnesium levels that actually calm the nervous system down as well. So I actually like to even have a little magnesium drink. It's just like the scooper that's in the container, in hot water an hour to 2 hours before I go to bed. And it calms down my nervous system and it relaxes my brain so it doesn't go on overdrive and just lets me have a good, really nice, nourishing sleep. So I get my REM sleep in and I sleep through the night most nights without waking up anymore. And the magnesium is a really helpful thing that people don't realize they're lacking in minerals and vitamins. The micro minerals are just as important as the macro minerals. Um, and I would even challenge you to try this for like a month. Try to change what you're eating. Replace the quick foods for healthier foods. And you'll see the huge difference in your energy levels and how you feel. And it gives you natural prebiotics and probiotics in your gut and your liver that work so hard for you all day that really need to be supported so you get more nutrients in your body, right? And that goes through your whole bloodstream to your brain, which gives you more mental clarity and dopamine, happiness hormones, even for a
mhm.
moment. Little by little each day, you can take those moments and breathe and know that, you'll get through this. And it's really important that self-care is extra, extra important. And I know that people are still gonna want to have the treats, but you could choose dark chocolate than milk chocolate, right? You could choose crunchy, nice bell peppers and some hummus rather than the crunchy chips. I buy a whole bunch of kale, fresh kale, and I take it off the ribs, like leaves off the ribs. I put it in the oven for like not even 5 minutes on high because it cooks really fast with some olive oil and sea salt. It's really crunchy but it's a really good snack to have, and it gives you all that magnesium in your body and your potassium in your body that you need when you're going through this time as well. And the kids will love them. They're crunchy, they're yummy, but you can bring them on the go as well and just keep them in a little baggie when you're going out for the day and you have them on hand.
It's a
Little things
great
like that
idea.
make a
I
huge
mean,
difference.
so much has changed in your life now that you've become a widow or a widower, if you've lost your longtime partner, that you know you're already going through this change in shopping, in cooking, in eating. So what's a little tweak here and there that's going to do something to support yourself even more and make yourself proud of yourself for making those choices?
Well,
So,
exactly, because we don't choose to have a spouse leave us. Like, we're probably mad about that too and sad at the same time. Like, why me? Why did this happen to me? And you're thrown into this another life that you didn't want. But you do
yeah,
know that every part of your life is also like leading you to a path that you don't know where it's going to lead you. And by your experiences, how do you know that you can help someone in the grocery store that just went through what you went through, and you can say, hey, I understand what you're going through, like you'll get there, and just be comforting for them and kind, that when you're being the example for good health and happiness and using your strategies, how you helped yourself, it helps so many people that you don't even know, with your voice and how you're handling it and what you're doing. Like even eggs for dinner, what's wrong with that? If you don't feel like anything else, there's nothing wrong with eggs for dinner. Why not?
breakfast for dinner, I love it.
Right? The little things that are simple for you. But people don't realize how many nutrients they're lacking and what they actually need until they go through the whole process, because they know they need the supports. But Chris and I help people and support them and guide them on many levels, so that, because we're not just a walking heart or kidney. Hello.
Mhm.
We're all connected. But one thing affects everything else with a biochemical reaction with moods and foods.
Jenny, thank you so much for these insights. It's really uplifting to know that through mindful eating, a bit of a burden can be lifted. Do you have any classes or events coming up that the audience might like to know about? And maybe you can share your email and your website?
Absolutely. Thanks for asking, Chris. Yeah, so I've curated and created a course called 6 Weeks to a Healthier You. And you can do that over 6 weeks or over, a few months, twice a month. And I also am a metabolic balance coach, and I have my license with Metabolic Balance. So I have those two programs going on for the spring, because I'm doing a reset for spring to get ready for summer and fall. And I'm really excited to offer it to clients and new clients. And my email is Jenni B. Dean at jellybeannutrition.com. And my website is www.jennydeannutrition.com. Just change that. But if you search Google as well, you can find it as well. So it's jennydeannutrition.com or Jenni B. Dean at jellybeannutrition.com.
Thank you. So if you're navigating the journey of grief, remember, you're not alone, and little changes can make a big difference. Thank you, Jenny, for joining us. And to our audience, stay tuned for more episodes. Until next time.